So the Chinese government, the China Electronics and Information Industry Development Research Institute, just released their 9th blockchain, their Global Public Chain Technology Evaluation Index, ranking EOS number 1, Ethereum number 2, and Ontology number 3. But I'm pretty sus on this report. I'm not exactly sure what criteria they're using, and there's quite a few red flags to me just going through this list for 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to chat about that. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and yeah, let's get into the video. So guys, the CCID stands for the China Electronics and Information Industry Development Institute. And you might have heard earlier that I mentioned the Chinese government. Well, that was intentional, because just to point out who actually runs the CCID and what it actually is. The China Electronic Information Industry Development. Let's just come down here. Mission. For more than 20 years, the CCID has been committed to the development of information industries in China. CCID bridges the government, business, and experts to provide research, evaluation, certification, and other professional services. When we go down here to stakeholders, China. This is a government research institute owned and run by the Chinese government. Now, I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with that. I'm merely just pointing that out so you understand the context of who is actually behind these reports. And when we understand that, and we know the history of China, we know the history of China and cryptocurrencies, essentially banning any form of access to cryptocurrencies to Chinese citizens back in 2017 and 18, then we can approach this list of rankings with a more open mind. Put it that way. So over here, this is their 9th evaluation index, and what they do is they rank public blockchains by basic tech, applicability, and creativity. Now, just straight away, they are 3 extraordinarily generic evaluation criteria, and we have no idea what is behind each of those 3 criteria. What does basic tech mean? What does applicability mean? What does creativity mean? Now, it's worth noting, guys, blockchains, cryptocurrencies are extremely new and still very, very, very immature. We are in day 1 of a very long journey for this technology to improve, to scale, and to find its use case in the world over time. That's starting to happen, but we have many years to go. Now, the reason why I say that is because how can you come up with accurate evaluation criteria for something that's extremely new? You just can't. There's a lot of different ways. I have my own evaluation criteria. I do a lot of fundamentals. Other people have their own evaluation criteria. I've seen some really, really good reports out there from different crypto companies and media outlets, but there's no one standard. It does not exist, and it won't exist for a long time, if ever, as there's always going to be differing opinions. There's always going to be different technical analysis techniques and fundamental analysis techniques, and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, guys, they've ranked EOS number 1 again. And just to give you some perspective on some of the other coins here, they've ranked Bitcoin down here as number 15. Now, as Trace Mayer says, Bitcoin is the apex predator in terms of technology, and just about every other metric that you could possibly apply. And we'll get to that. I'll cover some things in just a bit, but let's just look at a few things first. So back in, 2000, and it was late 2017, very early 2018, China completely eradicated ICOs from the country. Then they completely eradicated any fiat on-ramps, I.E. exchanges in the entire country. So essentially it became impossible for people to purchase cryptocurrency within China. Now, they didn't ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. They still allow people to trade them with one another, but it's virtually impossible to buy it with fiat currency over there. So that gives you a bit of a understanding of their intentions. They are not favorably looking at cryptocurrencies. But they say, and what we hear, is they're very favorably looking into blockchains, which makes me question this report, because all of these blockchains have a cryptocurrency tied to them. You cannot have one without the other. That's part of the economic model to ensure a decentralized or semi-decentralized form of network security and validation. That's the point of the coin with the network. It's the point of Bitcoin. It's the point of Ethereum. It's the point of all of them. There's got to be an economic incentive for people to contribute work in the form of electrical energy. That's just the way these things work. So, you know, it's a very contradictory kind of stance that they've got here on, you know, liking blockchains and then releasing this government backed, or this government owned entity releasing this report about these different blockchains that have cryptocurrencies tied to them, but then the Chinese can't buy cryptocurrencies. So, you know, it's all a mess, really, to be honest. So anyway, this is a fantastic article written by this author, David Canellis, about some of the history that's happened over the past 12 to 18 months in China in relation to cryptocurrencies. It talks about how essentially all the exchanges were chased out, all the ICOs were shut down. You had Binance had to leave, you had OKCoin had to leave, you had Huobi had to leave, and it's virtually impossible to get cryptocurrencies over there now. So when we actually come to this list and we have a look at it, they rank EOS number 1. Now, I'm not hating on EOS. I did a video on EOS the other day. People are building decentralized applications on it. But it's still important to critically analyze objectively some of these ratings and how they have possibly come up with some of these ratings to begin with. So EOS ranked number 1 for basic tech. They've given it 102.2 points for basic tech. I would have thought the limit would be 100 there. 19.7 for applicability, 24.9 for creativity. Now, it's no secret that EOS has a problem with centralization. It has 21 nodes that validate transactions, just 21. That's not a lot for a multi-billion-dollar network. It also has issues with the amount of coin holders. So there's a small percentage of people hold a majority of the coins on EOS. It raised an absolute ton of money. It's extremely well funded, which is probably a reason why a lot of these decentralized applications are being built on it, likely through grants. Though the block producers make a lot of money, they can supply grants to these different companies to encourage them to build these decentralized applications. So like, it gives you an idea on kind of what's going on here, but I'm not going to go through this in detail. There'll be links down to everything down below, but EOS does have a centralization problem due to its proof of stake system, due to there being only 21 nodes and validators when compared to other networks. So getting a number 1 rank, very odd to me, very, very odd. Now let's just have a look at some others here, guys. So you got Ethereum number 2. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That looks like a fair, kind of a fair ranking. But then we look at some others. They've got Ethereum Classic here ranked number 19. Now, Ethereum Classic was hacked. I mean, how anything makes a list after it's been hacked is beyond me. I mean, a hack is potentially, if not the most detrimental reputation and trust breaking event that can possibly happen to a blockchain. As soon as it's been 51% attacked, I mean, essentially the way I see it, that's it. It's been compromised. The network has been compromised, and unless they can somehow gain hash power over time, they can gain network effect over time, and convince people to trust it again. I mean, I just don't know how it's even making a list. Now remember, out of the hundreds and the thousands of cryptocurrencies and protocols out there, Ethereum Classic on this list has scored 19 right after a 51% attack. So just for some perspective there, guys. Next up, we've got Nano. Well, guess what? Nano was hacked on the BitGrail exchange. Now, I'm sure this is an ongoing issue in terms of what actually happened, whether it was Nano, whether it was BitGrail, and if there is more new information that I have missed, then I apologize for that. However, this was still a major issue at the time. $195 million worth of Nano was hacked from BitGrail, and it was pretty messy after that on either party pointing to each other one saying it was your fault. So Nano ranked number 21. And then we've got Verge ranked number 26. I've talked about Verge before. I've talked about the SWOT review we did on it, the vulnerabilities on it, the fact that it's got 5 hashing algorithms for miners. It's just, yeah. But I mean, Verge was hacked. Verge was hacked twice. A bunch of money was stolen. Yeah, and Verge somehow makes this list at 26 too. So again, like I'm not trying to spread hate. I'm not trying to spread the FUD. I'm just trying to show you some perspective on. I really just would not give this technology assessment index a whole lot of credibility, and I would also question the intentions as to a government-backed Chinese institute releasing this in the first place. That's what I would be questioning myself. Now, I just want to kind of finish up, guys, just looking at Bitcoin and how Bitcoin manages to get number 15. Now, I may come across a bit maximalist here, and I do love Bitcoin. It is my number one. I'm a huge Bitcoin fanboy. There's no doubt about that. But Bitcoin is, again, as Trace Mayer says, it is the apex predator. There is the most talented developers have been working on Bitcoin for the longest amount of time, and it's for a reason. It's because it is the most complex, it is the most technical, it is the apex predator. So when we look at things like GitHub activity, I mean, Bitcoin's GitHub has been starred 36,751 times. It's had 21,000 forks of people playing with the code, 3,000 comments. I mean, Bitcoin is the number one most refined, most thought about cryptocurrency on the entire market. It's also got the most hash rate. We've talked about this, guys. Bitcoin is virtually untouchable in terms of 51% attack because of its enormous hash rate, which, mind you, has actually been going up. It's been trending up since December, as we can see here. You know, guys, Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency out there that is now being streamed by a satellite, the Blockstream satellite network. There are 3 satellites, one with 2 beams, the Telstar 11N on the Africa and Europe beam. You can now run Bitcoin as a miner or run a full node via a satellite. Guys, you can go and buy a satellite dish, a small satellite dish. You probably spend a couple of $100 to get an older laptop, and you can run Bitcoin from a satellite. I don't know about you, but I don't think there's any other blockchains out there that can be run from a satellite virtually for nothing. I mean, Bitcoin is unstoppable. Bitcoin is attracts some of the most talented developers. I would say second only to Ethereum. I would say they're equal. Ethereum gets a lot of extremely talented minds working on it as well. And you know, it gets this rank number 15 on the list. So, you know, when we think about also the way the Chinese run things over there, when we think about their political system, when we think about the disruptive nature of Bitcoin and really what it can do to central banks. I mean, Bitcoin over time will be a central bank buster in terms of decentralized nature, its immutability, its transparency, and its ability to free people from the centralized fiat printing press. So it's no surprise to me that a government-backed institute would be ranking Bitcoin down the list to get it away from the eyes of people, to try and break the confidence in people, to try and break the trust in people as to Bitcoin and the effects and the freeing nature it can have on society, and that it likely will have on society over time. So guys, that is it for the video. That's my take. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know, always really appreciate those likes. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to come on board, guys. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter that has our latest blogs, videos, sometimes has special offers, have information on our upcoming courses. We have a new course coming out soon. It's been many months in the works. It's the latest cryptocurrency trends and a bunch of other incredible information that'll be released very soon, guys. So you can subscribe to our newsletter completely free. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.